about the only thing that could save him outside of like a paladin lay on hands or something like that. Or, like some very high-end cleric being able to use like Revivify or something of that nature. What you did was not only valiant, but also it was something that there was not another soul in the entire town that could have healed him in the way that you did. And he was going to be fine. And now the smell of necrosis with a magical tinge continues to creep up your nose.
We return to the adventuring party.
Okay.
Sneak around. Sneak.
Okay, they're coming.
Run away. Run away.
That's the first time I've just had fun with a match in a long time.
So for you three, Azricus and Alden, you are currently in the town of Briarholt. This is a town that is north of the Cormanthor Forest. You've been invited here by the Lord Regent, Christoph. I forgot what your last name is already.
ThornWyck?
Yeah, Christoph ThornWyck. This town is mostly owned by Christoph ThornWyck. You see, as you both kind of enter the town as mercenaries, being paid by Christoph a fairly decent, reasonable sum. You, Alden, specifically, aren't really receiving any of these funds. These are going to your order, specifically, and your order dispatched you here because there are rumors that every 50 years, the mist appears in the Cormanthor Forest. And there are even smaller whispers of these rumors that the undead lurk within the mist. So your order, being a holy order of Lathander, decided to dispatch you and a few of your brothers to this area of the world, specifically to Briarholt, in order to investigate and destroy any of the undead presence here. In your shared player journal, you will see the house sigil of ThornWyck. You see these banners hanging from things like the local tavern all the way to the keep within the town. The keep is it's like a moderate-sized keep. It stands probably at least 100 foot tall, made of gray stone. You see these banners hanging down from it. It's a kind of a mixture of both stone and wood. It's definitely the epicenter of the town. You see a lot of the houses kind of around the town are also straw and wood made of. There's some that are kind of made of stone. And then as you enter the town, you're greeted by the local towns guard. They don't have too many here, right? It's not like a super well fortified or well defensed town as you kind of enter. But there are a few armed guards that have things like armor on them. They do have that sigil on their armor, either on kind of their shoulder plates. Some of them have it on their chest plates. Some of them carry halberds. Those stand at attention when you enter, and they are very, I would say, they feel honorable. They feel honored to have you there. You're welcomed and greeted with open arms. Later that night, after you're welcomed into the town, you've made your room in the local tavern, you're invited into the keep, into a great feast hall by Christoph ThornWyck. At the head of the table, it's kind of so there's multiple different banquet tables running down. Think of, what comes to my head literally is Hogwarts, right? There's a main kind of banquet table up in front, and then you have rows of banquet tables going down through the hall. The tables themselves are nice and wooden. They appear to be fashioned by hand and taken a lot of care of. And then the head of the banquet table, you see three individuals. You see Christoph, the person who has kind of hired you. He's a rather large man, brown hair, brown beard, with a very well tended to and well capped mustache. And then you see a woman who has darker hair. She's wearing fine clothing, though, a little bit even above the station for what you kind of feel like is normal for this town, even a noble in the town. Her clothing is like very well kept and very fine, darker clothing. You see like hints of the colors of the sigil. So you see like red and black in her clothing. She wears like a really fine ruby brooch. And then you see what appears to be their younger daughter. It's pretty obvious that, she looks like kind of a mix between them. Well, you sit in your great banquet hall. Kristoff speaks up, kind of twirling his mustache as he does, and says, welcome all. We have brought you here because for the last several nights, we've heard of the mist. The mist that has come around once every 50 years. I experienced it as a child, and my father helped deal with it at the time of as well. We brought you here to help not only defend the town, but I will do something that none of my ancestors have done. I will go out and we will actually defeat the mist, and we will beat back the undead. For you guys, Azricus specifically and Alden, you're like not aware of the undead being real, really in this like sense, right? It's more of a rumor to you. However, he seems pretty sure of himself. Alden, a few of your brothers kind of like murmur among each other because once again they're not entirely sure that he's like telling the truth, and also you have like no information about what's really in the Cormanthor forest in terms of the undead. Azricus, you and a couple of the people that you came with, a mixed races of, there's like a dwarf that came with you, there's a human, all of you also kind of whisper among each other, and you kind of look over and you see an order of what appear to be monks, to the best of your knowledge, with, the sigil of Lathander on their chest. They're wearing, like moderate cloth from what I know. They don't really wear a whole lot of armor, but they do look fierce. They're like very obviously physically well kept, and they very obviously train. You kind of all see them murmuring among each other as well. As Kristoff kind of finishes his speech, he sits back down and then says, "But before we do, let us feast." And there is a wide assortment of different meats and fruit and basically anything available to them within the region. Even a few kind of exotic foods are available to you, are brought out to your table. And kind of placed before you, and the feast begins. Specifically for you, Elizabeth, you see your table has just like a little bit better food than what is given, obviously, to all of your guests. Your mother looks over to you, and as she kind of looks over to you, she gives you somewhat of like a scowl, almost. I heard that you were in the tavern again, Elizabeth. What have I told you about going to the tavern? We have mercenaries here. We don't know any of these people.
It's work. I enjoy working.
You don't need to work.
I don't think you understand me very well. I enjoy working with my hands. I like seeing how the normal people are.
Oh, I understand you quite well. She kind of like rolls her eyes at you. Azricus and Alden, among your groups, what do you feel like the kind of general tenor is? Azricus, you go first.
Probably impatience. The group that Azricus works with are predominantly just hunters of the undead and other occult creatures. So they march with everything they need on them. They have food. They're already probably already ate before they came to the feast hall just to come here and actually get the information before they left. So they're probably just impatient, ready to go out and figure out what's going on, get to the bottom of the situation.
Okay. Alden, what about your group?
We would definitely be I feel like my character would kind of speak up to them and be like, we need to sit and Fort Morning Lord didn't take the last outbreak seriously, and we cannot afford another plague to spread from this undeath. Like, we may not have any evidence yet, but we cannot afford to take the risk of misplaying this. Let's focus. We're in a tavern. These guys have been, quite busy for the last several months, so I'm sure they would be easy to distract, and I would be kind of steadfast in my ideas of what we need to do.
Okay. Azricus, in your group, a dwarf speaks up, and he's not necessarily speaking to the rest of the banquet hall, just kind of among your group. And he, kind of furrowing his brow, looks towards you specifically and is like, God, I'm so ready to destroy some bones and to destroy some of these spirits that I've been hearing about out here. At least they're paying us well to do it and to just sit here and eat their food, I suppose.
If the curse is real, then we'll lift it. If not, we'll be passing through. There's more work further.
Very true, and at least they pay. Their gold is as good as the rest, right?
Well, at least we can use them.
Very, very true. Alden, in your group, one of the monks kind of responds to what you said. It's like, yes, I agree. We definitely don't want to sit on our hands idle this time. We've made those mistakes in the past, and we can't make it again. We must not only figure out what is happening here, but put it into it. And figure out if this could potentially happen across the world as well. This isn't the only instance we've heard of mist appearing in the world and undead following it.
I kind of look around he looks around the table at like who I'm sitting with and asks, we come from everywhere. Like, are any of you from around here? Like, have you heard of this before? Is anybody able to substantiate these claims beyond speculation?
You see one kind of younger man speak up. He's got kind of like dirty blonde hair. It's like cut pretty short though. And he's very well fit. You don't know him too well. He's like rather new to kind of your echelon of the order in terms of like being a warrior and actually being dispatched out to places. But you've seen him around the temple and you've heard good things about him. He looks up to you and says, I actually do come from this area. And I've never experienced anything myself, but I do remember my parents and my grandparents talking about a mist that every 50 years appears in the local forest out here, and he kind of like gestures outside the local forest here. And I always kind of thought that it was a fairy tale that they told us to make sure that we didn't go venture out into the forest, I didn't actually think that it was real, and certainly not real enough to pay. And he kind of like gestures to the mercenaries who definitely, with Azricus and his group, looking a little bit rougher than you guys. They look like, they're not necessarily holy by any means or very pious. It's like, it's definitely not enough to bring people like them along.
Lots of dour faces, lots of people just with scowls and dark clothing.
Mm-hmm. Definitely looks like they have used their weapons many times outside of training. But moving from there back to the banquet table, Kristoff now kind of leans around your mother, Elizabeth, and says, I know that you want to come with us tonight, Elizabeth, but you cannot. Unfortunately, it's going to be too dangerous with you. I know as much as you want to. Okay, you can't come. The mercenaries that we've brought will keep me safe. Trust me.
I would prefer not to trust these heathens, these brigands that you've brought here.
Well, the one thing that you can trust brigands is that they follow the money. And luckily for us, the undead don't pay them money. So, I think we can trust them as long as we pay them. And plus, he kind of gestures to the group of monks and says, I mean, they will definitely protect me, even if the brigands turn on us.
I still wish you would let me go. That way I could at least observe.
You are my only one and only heir. I can't risk you dying out there with me and with those mercenaries in the forest. If I die, you have to be the one to carry on our family name.
Okay, Papa.
Okay. Shifting from there, we're now going to shift to a completely and utterly different world.
Dagobah.
Dagobah.
You will go to the Dagobah system. Dagobah system.
Exactly. As we move towards the town of Kelpwood, it's a rather dreary and swamp-like area, but this is a place that you've come to call home. This is a place that you're comfortable. You have walked every single pathway of this town. You have heard rumors among the tides recently of a mist that has enveloped nearby villages to you, and the villages end up as ghost towns. They are never heard from again. Any scouts that you have sent out to these villages to, normally you trade with them. You've got certain relationships with certain villages, obviously. Some of them might be enemies, some of them might be friends and allies. But you've heard rumor that some of these villages have completely disappeared. The village remains, but there are no people there anymore. You find yourself walking along one of the wooden bridges that go across the swamp, kind of. And you're heading towards specifically the Tidecaller Shrine that you have called home, that helped to raise you. And you hear, for a moment, you hear all of the insects that surround you, all of the creatures of the swamp. You hear faint croaking in the distance, until you hear nothing. All of the creatures in the surrounding area go silent. You have experienced this once or twice before. Give me... You can do history or insight check. Your choice.
All right. I'll do history, since he's lived there all his life. It's a 15.
Okay. You know that this typically only happens when there's a predator in the area that is sort of the top of the food chain, right? Everything goes silent in the area. It doesn't happen very often, especially because you and the other creatures that you live with are pretty common in the area, and so those creatures don't necessarily cause the insects and the frogs and everything else around you to quiet down. But everything now is dead silent. The water grows extremely still. The small ripples that tend to kind of float across the swamp are now just glass. As you hear what sounds like the clinking of bone on wood come from behind you.
Eep.
Do you turn to look at it, or do you continue on your way towards the shrine?
Come on, Chirp. We're in trouble. And he'll try to hop and go into the water under the plank to try to get away from whatever may be following him.
Okay. As you go into the water, give me a stealth check with advantage.
Stealth check with advantage. Is this the right? That's not the right one. There it is. Advantage. It's close. 14.
14. Okay. You jump into the water with your familiar, and then kind of like slightly, I don't know the word, like unsubmerged from the water. Okay, so only your eyes are kind of out. You've got like enough room to kind of breathe with your nose, obviously, right? This is something that you and your people are quite used to doing as a frog. You're very understanding of how to kind of like glide on top of the water while being able to kind of see outside of it, but use it as stealth. It's rather murky water, right? Even somebody pretty perceptive would have a hard time noticing you unless they were specifically looking for you. You see what can only be described as a shambling skeleton slowly limping towards the shrine. It looks like it has an old iron rusty sword in its hand, and all that you can hear as it kind of limps, you hear it dragging across the wood, what sounds like almost like pebbles kind of dragging across wood, or wood dragging across wood. Yeah, what do you do?
He's going to climb up onto the plankway next to the skeleton in a very bravado way, and he'll go, "Hey, bonehead, go away!" And he'll clap his hands, and it's like a bolt of lightning hit. There's a loud, thunderous roar that echoes out from his hands, not only to apply pressure to the skeleton, who has to make a Constitution saving throw of 14, but also the sound wave radiates out to alert anyone nearby of what may be going on.
Okay. It fails the save with a 12.
All right, it does 6 points of thunder damage, and it is pushed back 10 feet. He's kind of hoping to push it back off the walkway into the water.
Okay, so you're stood kind of like next to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we were, for example, like in an actual map, you would be pushing it to the side into the water, yes?
That's the plan.
Okay. So yeah, it gets pushed 10 feet back into the water. You see it kind of like flailing its arms as it falls back into the water.
And then he'll book it ahead to let them know that something's coming.
As you book it towards the shrine, you start to notice that mist is starting to encroach, not only upon the kind of surrounding swamp around you and the town of Kelpwood, but you start to notice that the shrine itself is beginning to be enveloped in a mist. Approaching, you find the master of the shrine, Deus Croakfoot. Someone who has mentored you and hasn't necessarily helped you hone the magic that you have, but is more of like a life mentor to you, right? More of like a kind of a father figure. He isn't necessarily the greatest with magic himself, but he was always the one to kind of pick you up when you fell down. He was always the one to help you when you were having a bad day or feeling a little bit down. As you approach, you see him locked in combat with 3 different skeletons, all of them iron, rusty swords in their hand, swinging rather haphazardly, especially for a trained warrior like Deus Croakfoot. Deus Croakfoot is definitely the town warrior in a way. He's the one that if they were ever to be invaded, this is the person you would look to kind of hold the front line and defend the rest of the town. Or, you know, if there was ever a threat to the town, he is the veteran warrior of the town. You see him grappling with these 3 skeletons on your approach. And someone who's been your father figure for your entire life, essentially, has a rusty iron sword run through the middle of his chest. You see from behind him a rusty iron sword come directly through his chest in the center of it as he's run through from behind. His body falls limp as he looks at you approaching, attempts to hold his hand out to you before you hear him let forth a croak and the light fade from his eyes. These 3 skeletons now, the one who ran him through, pulls the blade out from behind him, and they turn to you, the mist now creeping around you. What do you do at this moment?
He's backing up, calling, "Wardens! Wardens!" And he'll kind of like rub his hands together and aim his hands, and he'll go, "Static discharge!" And he will let loose a ray of frost, but it's twisted a little to where it's actually electricity. So it'll just be electrical damage instead of cold damage.
Okay. And that's a single target spell, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So you have 3 skeletons in front of you. You aim it towards, like, which one? The middle one, left or right? They're kind of all, I guess, in a line in front of you in a way.
Yeah, I don't think it'll matter, but he aimed at the one that did the stabbing, the final stabbing,
Okay.
but it was an 11 to hit.
Okay. That does not hit. So as you let forth a static discharge, the emotion now kind of overwhelming you, the shock really kind of hitting you of someone that you've known your entire life, essentially, now lying lifeless on the floor in front of you. A part of your mind not really able to grasp that he might actually be dead. The static shock kind of spreads between them, and you see it just fall off of their body in a way. It's like it's grounded in a way. As you step back, calling for the wardens, we're now going to move from here back to Faerun. Tonight, specifically Azricus and Alden, I need you both to make death saving throws for me as you find yourselves in the Cormanthor Forest.
Well,
18.
Okay. You both find yourselves lying on the canopy floor of the forest, undead now rampaging around you, what feels like hundreds of things from skeletons to revenants to werewolves and other various undead creatures. You see certain phantoms around you, all in the pitched sound of battle. Screams radiate around you as your brothers, your friends, your fellow mercenaries find themselves overwhelmed and overrun. You're both on the ground, wounded, but not fatally, both finding yourselves kind of hard to focus. It's like, specifically for you, Alden, you were hit over the head with a blunt object, to the best of your knowledge. You are on the ground, fighting to get up and fighting to kind of regain that mental focus that you've trained your whole life to maintain. Azricus, you actually, on a 12, you specifically were tackled by a ghoul and found yourself fighting on the ground with the ghoul. You were able to essentially get the ghoul off of you. One of your fellow brothers also ripped it off, destroyed the ghoul, killed it, ran his pike directly through its chest, and you now are trying to find a way to get up as Kristoff, in his shiny new armor, looks like it's never seen a day of battle in his entire life, is attempting to rally the troops, screaming to everybody to gather around him, holding his sword high in the air, as you see some of the mercenaries starting to run. Some of them that came with you, specifically Azricus, and a couple of the others that you don't know, but you know aren't a part of the, I almost wanted to say called, the Knights of the Burning Chalice. Yeah. You see some of the Knights of the Burning Chalice now beginning to congregate around Kristoff. The mist ahead of you guys, I would say probably like 200 feet, maybe like 50, 75 yards in front of you, is thick. You cannot see through the mist. However, where you guys currently are right now, you see, the mist blankets the bottom of the canopy, and kind of where you find yourselves on the ground now, the mist is quite thick there. However, at eye level, when you're standing, and even, kind of up to your knees, the mist lightens up and you can see. The sound of bloodshed, of undead, blood-curdling screams now reverberates around your ears, as you also see the undead begin to group. Each of you now beginning to stand up. Azricus, your friend that helped you and drove his pike through the ghoul, is now lifting you up by the shoulders. Alden, the knights of the Burning Chalice that aren't grouping with Kristoff are now trying to help you up off of the ground. You are now kind of starting to regain your composure as you see specifically a hand that almost looks like a spear slice directly across Kristoff's neck. Blood now gushing directly from his neck. He turns. The knights of the Burning Chalice that have now kind of surrounded him. There's like maybe a couple of mercenaries around him, but most of the mercenaries are booking it because they weren't prepared for this. The knights of the Burning Chalice that surrounded him are now attacked by a group of 10 revenants. Those revenants completely running your lines over. Their speed and their strength overwhelming anything that you guys have ever trained for. This is a level of undead that isn't something that Faerun has really even seen in this kind of number. Lycans and werewolves begin to approach your lines as Azricus, the mercenaries begin to drag you back. Alden, the Knights of the Burning Chalice, see their, their benefactor, Kristoff ThornWyck, his throat slashed, fall down to the ground, blood gushing, and then fall face first. Do you choose to stay, or do you choose to retreat back to the town? You're both now up, by the way.
We're both up?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, this is a tough one. As I look around, how many of my brothers and sisters do I see here still up and that remain?
Give me a perception check.
1 second.
Azricus, you can feel free to do the same if you're interested, if you haven't decided on what you want to do.
Azricus knows very much what he wants to do.
Why won't it let me roll perception? I'm just gonna flat roll it. 15.
Okay. You know a couple of things. You know that many of your brothers and sisters that came here with you have fallen. You see, probably including yourself, about 15 non-mercenaries that are here with you that you know will listen to you. You are kind of the de facto leader among them. You guys didn't really come with a commander necessarily, but you know that they all, in some way or another, look up to you and will listen to you. You see what appears to be something feasting on Kristoff. It looks up, blood gushing from its mouth around both of its mouth and dripping off of its fangs. What appears to be undead to you looks rather vampiric in nature and is wearing noble clothing. This is fine clothing similar to what you saw on Alicent ThornWyck. Not exactly the same by any means, but the same caliber and quality. Right, very, very nice, fine material. A bit gray in nature. It looks maybe a bit older than Alicent's. Alicent's definitely looked, very new. A little bit older, but still extremely fine. and it looks at you not with the ferocity and unmitigated anger that a lot of the other undead out here have. It looks at you with eyes of knowing, as you now feel the undead beginning to surround you.
Okay. So, about how far am I from, like, you had said that the like front line was getting overrun. Like, how far am I from them? Am I like relatively close? Am I?
The front line was essentially being formed around Kristoff before he got his throat slashed by a vampire.
Okay.
So you're there.
I'm like in this right now, basically.
Yeah. I will say, both of you can give me insight too.
That's what I was actually going to ask. And Azric, with the mercenaries, are they further away from this central line?
You are a bit further away, especially from Kristoff. You were within eyesight, so you saw what happened. But definitely the Knights of the Burning Chalice are a lot more valiant and like not necessarily there for money. So they were a lot more willing to kind of be up in the front line, whereas the mercenaries are now kind of either booking it the other way, dead, or the few valiant mercenaries are with them, but definitely a bit shook, you can tell.
Yeah. I imagine like Azricus's group was basically like, this is a fool's errand, we need to go back and reinforce, is probably like their mindset. They're not like mercenaries in the sense of like they just fight for hire. They fight for their own purpose of just like literally banishing darkness.
Yeah.
They're just a little bit darker into that field.
Yeah, you know too that like it's somewhat, like you said, a fool's errand at this point in terms of numbers.
Yeah. I rolled a 19 for insight.
Okay. What about you, Alden?
I got a 17 plus 6, so 23.
Okay. If there was a group out here, for both of you, you can both understand this and know this. If there was what is essentially amounting to almost an army out in this forest, at least to both of your knowledges, this is quite a force that you've gone up against and you were not prepared for it. Something runs through your mind asking why they haven't invaded the town already. What was keeping them from doing it, and what has caused it to be only a rumor over the past 150, 200 years, that it comes around every 50 years, right? So what has caused it to only be a rumor for this long if there was a force of this magnitude out in the forest? I would say with an insight of 17 plus 6, and even an insight of 19 is good enough for this, you would understand that there might be something keeping them from invading the town, and the town is definitely the best place to retreat to, if you plan to retreat.
Yeah. Azricus is like grabbing the shoulder of whoever helped him up, pulling them close if it's one of the Fratiras, and is like, we need to go. We need to get information out and warn people. We break through and scatter. Whoever lives gets through and gets word. And just kind of shoves away from him, and I'm going to see probably further away the like valiant last stand.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to try and use common sign language, which is one of the languages he knows. He's going to try and like sign across the battlefield, like telling them to regroup and retreat, like to break through and retreat, because they're being surrounded currently, right?
With the perception roll that you had earlier, Alden, I'll say that you could see that.
I also speak common sign language.
Nice.
So I see this, and I sign back to you, basically saying that I am going to send my men to you. Like, we are coming to you. We are coming to you, and we are leaving. And I get that. I get that from him, sign it back out, and I grab basically the nearest brother or sister to me, and I pull them, because I'm sure that these we weren't expecting this, so I'm sure everybody here is just massively overwhelmed. But I pull one of them next to me, kind of shake the sense into them, and we have to get out of here to tell the Abbey of what level of darkness is here. We need to leave, and then I'm gonna call to my people and be like, hey, we live to see another dawn. We need to run. This has like we can come back for our fallen, and but we need to leave. I'm going to go at first forward towards them, past the line of my men. I'm going to use my channel divinity and use turn undead to kind of give us a little bit of breathing room here as we retreat. So as I like shake this soldier, shake this my like other brother or sister, whichever it is, and then I move past them, walking with my staff. This is not something that all of the Knights of Burning Chalice do for clerics, but I am unarmored, so my cloak, my like tunic is kind of going through. I'm assuming blood-soaked, muddy, and as I press forward through them, I take the staff and slam it on the ground, casting my channel divinity to turn undead, as the burns and scars along my body channel in a blindingly bright light, and I basically turn undead and turn around and dip.
Awesome. Let me read how turn undead works really quickly.
Okay, for a minute there, I thought you said you turned undead. I'm like, wait. Right?
Yep, that's right.
Yes, I am the BBG, and we die on session 0.
Fun game,
Okay,
everyone.
let me make a few wisdom saves really quickly, and then you can see.
So we were making death saves, you said earlier, right? Like, are we
Yes.
low HP right now?
You're hurt for sure, but I would say that you're low HP. You don't need to like track exactly what your HP is right now. We're not going to get into like the nitty gritty
Okay.
of combat necessarily yet, but yeah, you're definitely you're hurting for sure, both of you.
Do I feel like I could activate my my blood right, my crimson right, without killing myself?
I'll say yeah, you can.
Okay.
If you're
then,
if you want to, for sure.
Yeah, if Azricus sees someone signing back at him and like understands it, he's going to grab his scimitar from the ground and he runs it across his forearm, taking 4 points of damage.
Okay.
But as my blood goes across the blade, it lights up in flames, and I'll hold it up like a beacon towards the group that's going to be retreating towards us.
Alden, as you turn undead, the creature that looked at you with knowing and intelligence in its eyes is also turned. There is a substantial amount of the undead that were surrounding you in the front line. And as you kind of moved forward, there was definitely a moment that it even ran across your mind, especially with an insight of 17 plus 6, that if this turn undead does not work on the right creatures, you will die here. You will absolutely be surrounded and you will die. Luckily, it turned just enough of them to give your brothers and sisters the ability to help fight them back. And you see the blonde-haired boy from earlier. You know his name to be Riker. He has kind of been watching you. He saw you sign to one of the mercenaries in the back, and understands that the need to retreat in this moment. They create a phalanx, and you see him break that phalanx and run to Kristoff. He runs to Kristoff's body and grabs the Lord of Briarholt's body to help bring back. Do you assist him in that endeavor? Do you have the group assist him in that endeavor, or do you allow him to bring it back himself?
Damn, hold on, let me roll. I tell them to retreat, and I go help him.
Nice, okay. Go ahead and give me an athletics check.
Alrighty. 7.
7, okay.
7. I'm weak right now.
How long are these creatures frightened? 1 minute, okay.
Okay.
You're not, as you tell them to retreat, you're not their commander. You are not their general. They see what's happening. They see Riker going to help Kristoff, and they see you also going to help him and struggling to do so. The phalanx now forms around you, as they slowly retreat back with you and Riker carrying the dead body of Kristoff. Let me roll for Riker really quickly. It's a nat 20, actually. Give me a moment.
Also, is Kristoff like dead, or is he making saving throws? Would I be able to tell?
So your knowledge is dead.
Okay.
Or, like, at the very least, like, bleeding out. You can try to stabilize, sure, though. If I think that's probably what you're interested in.
Yeah, I was gonna try and stabilize him. Like, since we're basically touching each other, I was gonna use my spare the dying to stabilize him.
Okay, so what I'll say with the athletic score of a 7, you're kind of like the dude who's faking carrying the coffin right now. While Riker on a nat 20 is, like, absolutely just Giga Chad carrying this dude by himself right now. And you, instead of like carrying him though, because you realize that you're not really doing a whole lot, are like actively trying to stabilize him. As the phalanx is like slowly stepping back and stepping back and stepping back to try and fight off the undead, who are now, some of the stronger ones have broken the turn undead. And it's like approaching a minute at this point as well. So even the weaker ones are about to, no longer be feared and turn around and start to run at you. They are like swatting away some of the undead as they move back. These are trained warriors who not only are trained in fighting by themselves, but they were trained to fight in a group, right? They understand how to work with each other. They understand how the phalanx works. As you now reach back to Azricus. As Azricus and his group help to supplement the phalanx, you see a brother here go down and be dragged out of the phalanx. You see a sister here go down and be dragged out of the phalanx, and they're replaced by these mercenaries. Before you reach a certain point in the forest that the undead stop. You see what appears to be almost a horde of undead running at you, especially from the turn undead spell, where they ran, so far the other way and then they were running back to you. You see what appears to be almost a horde of them, all running to you and then stop as if an invisible line was drawn at a certain point in the forest. The vampire that looked at you before walks to the front of them and just smiles at you. As you retreat, the phalanx now slowly but surely breaking apart as you all kind of realize that you're not in immediate danger right now. And you make your way back to the town of Briarholt. As you arrive, you find Elizabeth ThornWyck awaiting at the front of the town, hoping to see celebratory warriors coming back, but at this point they've seen mercenaries fleeing. Elizabeth, you know that things did not go well. As you see both Azricus and his party, as well as Alden and his party, both much more, I guess, like their numbers thinned, but downtrodden faces. You see dirt, mud, and blood covering them all. And you see Riker, the young, dirty, blonde-haired boy, and Alden carrying your father, blood completely coating the front of his chest plate. There was once a shining silver, now completely coated in his own blood. He, at this time, is unconscious from the blood loss, but Alden, to your knowledge, he's still alive, but barely holding on.
Elizabeth would cry out while running as fast as she can to see her father. She'll cry out that she needs a doctor or anybody who can heal. Runs up to her father with burning tears in her eyes, and it's not hard to see that not only is it the tears in her eyes of sadness, but mostly they're of anger. She's angry that she wasn't there to help her father. And she's mostly just like crying and like trying to help him, and like she doesn't know how to heal anybody, but she's just like calling out for a doctor and just like, oh my god, what the fuck is going on?
Alden, you're currently the one tending to him medically at this point. What do you do as she rushes up?
I honestly, I don't even see that she's running. I don't even, like, the adrenaline's coursing through, it's coursing through me right now. I'm very much, like, when you're in those high adrenaline situations, your hearing shortens, your sight cones in. I'm, like, basically, like, how I imagined this is, like, we're basically using a probably somebody's shield as like an impromptu like stretcher to carry this man, because he's in armor. He's got to be heavy. This has got to be a difficult task. We're like basically dragging him across. I am going to use my second channel divinity. I'm going to look up, like, as we're getting him out, because you said I could clearly see that they're not crossing this line, so my assumption is that something is keeping them like at bay from us. I'm going to raise both my hands up to the sky and say, oh well, actually, would anybody know this? Anybody here speak Draconic?
I think I do. 1 second.
I'm a simple orc.
Nope. Never mind. I do not.
Okay. Well, you guys don't understand this, but I say, by the light of Lathander, lend me your spark, and I bring down my palms, and how my divine spark is going to like portray is it looks like I have two burning pieces of coal in my hand as I press them into the armor surrounding him, and he is healed for
2d8 plus 4.
Yeah, 2d8 plus 4, and I will say, given the extenuating circumstances of this, my character will suffer from exhaustion and pass out.
Okay. So as the divine and holy light enters his body, you can see his wounds are stabilized. He's no longer just like, kind of freely bleeding, even beyond his bandages. While Alden is quite good at dealing with combat wounds and applying, the medical tourniquets and medical things that are needed for that, he's not, you didn't exactly go out there equipped to deal with this, number one. And number two, there's only so much that you could have done to stem the bleeding that he was experiencing. He also literally had his neck feasted upon by a vampire, so he was at least moderately exsanguinated, for a lack of a better term. You see his body now goes from looking like it was ripped apart by monsters, and is now at the very least peaceful. The blood has stopped. He is still also completely unconscious, as the rest of the Knights of the Blood Chalice, or excuse me, the Burning Chalice. I'm definitely using the Blood Chalice though in the future. Carry him and you into the keep. Azricus, what do you do as he's being carried into the keep along with Alden?
This is like we're still outside the city, like going into the city at this point. They're heading keep.
Yeah, there's a doctor that is like kind of rushed up, although he's like rather surprised by what Alden was able to do out in the field. The doctor is at this point trying to kind of tend to the wounds, check on vitals and stuff like that, but they are carrying through the town to the keep, both Alden now and Kristoff.
If I still have the ally that had picked me up, I will turn to him and say, "You should go back to the next settlement. Pass word on to the next of our people. I'll stay here and see what we can do."
You see Dane, another half-orc, look at you. There's a sternness to this man. You have traveled together for, I would say, quite some time at this point. You're quite well aware of each other. You've also developed now, in a way, a trauma bond with each other, right? He grabs you by the shoulder. He's a little bit bigger than you, just as a being in general. he's got, a fuller beard. He's definitely a little bit more of a veteran when it comes to combat. That's kind of how he knew to get you out and not also be destroyed himself. He grabs you by the shoulder. Stay safe, my friend. I will be back. And then he turns and begins to head out of the village. We're going to shift from here now as Kristoff is carried into the keep, and we're going to go back to Kelpwood. Ken, as Caelvo called for the wardens, you now hear what sounds like magic being casted, the clanging of swords. The alarms that were kind of in place in Kelpwood for any kind of danger that might be approaching are now all sounding at once. Normally, just like any kind of settlement, right, an alarm is stationed at certain entry points and things of that nature, so that you kind of know where the issue is coming from, right? If there's danger approaching from the north, for example, you would hear an alarm to the north. You are hearing alarms all across the village. This isn't just a singular point that is being attacked or under danger. And as you step back into the mist, you now hear whispers clawing at your consciousness. These aren't whispers that you've heard before, though. The people of Kelpwood have a certain way to them and a way about them. These sound like they come from different species to you, almost. The mist now surrounding your body. You calling for the wardens. The wardens don't come. But you know they're around. You have wardens for a reason. You can hear what sounds like combat around you. What do?
Well, since it's so freaking foggy everywhere, he's got his little quarterstaff stick out that he's going to use as like a blind stick, and he's going to kind of cautiously, stealthily find someone he knows, someone he can back up, while avoiding anything that might want to kill him.
You see, as you're walking towards the sounds that you're hearing now, off in the water to your right, you see what appears to be a small black fish. This black fish isn't native to the area. You've never seen this fish before. And as it floats in the water of the swamp next to you, it feels like the fish is staring at you. Now, you're no stranger to wildlife. You literally live in a swamp. You understand how fish typically act. You've seen plenty of fish in the swamp. This fish now stares at you. It is, even in the mist and the dark of night that you now find yourself, it is black. Its eyes red and gleaming as it's looking up to you.
He'll poke it with a stick. Poke. Fish? Is it alive or is it just dead, floating?
It's definitely, it's floating like it's alive, right? But it's, normally fish are constantly moving, right? And if you poked it, the fish would obviously run away if it was a normal fish. As you poke this fish, though, you don't see it move, but it also doesn't, like a dead fish, for example, would kind of like go sideways and then like float up, right? It doesn't act like that either. It stays upright, its eyes unmoving, even as you kind of like move your head side to side, right, to like see if it's like looking at you. Its eyes are unmoving on you. And as you go to poke it, you hear a whisper. I've come for this world too.
Could you speak a little louder? I didn't hear that. Hello?
As you say that, the mist begins to swirl around you. Now completely blocking your vision, you no longer see the fit. You can't even see 2 inches in front of your face. As the mist swirls around you, you feel, with your natural connection to magic, You have sort of like an elemental connection to it in terms of like you're very connected to nature. You're also just very connected to the magics of your world as well. You have kind of an innate connection to it. You feel magics swirling around you, and go ahead and give me an Arcana check.
That's going to be a 15.
Nice. You feel... Give me a moment to see exactly what types of magics these are.
Don't trust creepy fish. Lesson learned.
Poke. It didn't look real.
I would have done the same thing.
The specific types of magics that you feel swirling around you now are a combination of transmutation, enchantment, and conjuration. As you no longer feel connected to the world upon which you once stood. You find yourself in a almost empty space for a moment in time, though you can't exactly describe how long you were there, before waking up in an area that has an almost like melancholy... You don't necessarily wake up, I would say. You find yourself now almost like spit out by this magic into a world that has a melancholy feeling. The lighting and the sun are blocked by what appears to be just an overcast nature above you. You don't have the sun available, but it does cast a light through the mist that now resides above your head. You hear different sounds than what you would expect to hear if you were still in Kelpwood. And you hear a wagon coming up the road that appears to sound at least like it's about, I don't know, let's say about 200 yards in front of you, 400 feet or so. And you hear a distant howl.
But he doesn't hear the skeletons or the fighting like it was before.
The alarms, the fighting, the skeletons, they're all gone. The only thing you hear is the sound of an old wooden, it sounds like, carriage being beat up on the rocks of a paved road as it comes towards, it's semi towards you. It's like you're kind of off in the distance from it, but you can hear it going down a road near you.
Well, if there's one thing he knows about skeletons, and he doesn't know a lot, it's that they probably don't drive carriages. So he's going to carefully make his way towards that carriage, hope to find some safety there, or direction.
Okay. And with that, we will shift away from what is now Barovia, back to Briarholt.
Can I
With
add a little something? As the doctors came and probably we were dragging my dad home and stuff, I would instruct some of the servants and things to make sure that Alden got plenty of care and had his own rooms in my estate.
Okay. Over the course of the last couple of hours, night has now fallen. You hear the pitch of typical nightly sounds, crickets and things in the distance. The town itself is kind of quieted down now from the hustle and bustle that there was before during the retreat from the battle. Azricus, you and your crew are also being held up in the keep. A few of your crew have gone to the local tavern just to see if there are any tavern wenches that they're interested in, and then also to drink because you've lost many of your own brethren today. And some of them just need a little bit of a moment to unwind. You and a few others find yourselves in the keep. Alden, you are now awake, but still feeling weak. You chose to dump a lot of energy and a lot of power into the kind of final moments of the battle, and then to heal Kristoff to the best of your knowledge. As you move through the castle, not the castle, sorry, the keep, Elizabeth, you hear a scream erupt from your father's room. What do you do?
Oh, I would immediately run in there.
Alden, I would say, actually, Alden and Azricus, you're both close enough to have heard the scream as well. What do you both do?
Azricus is definitely, if he hears a scream, he's got to go investigate.
It's a female scream too, I'll make that clear.
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of hobble out of my bed, and you know that like that scene in The Princess Bride where he's like half paralyzed trying to like shamble down the hallway is like basically what he's doing towards where he heard the scream come from.
Okay. Elizabeth, you get there first, and inside you find a servant woman. This is a woman who has cared for you your whole life. She is now stood over the bed of your father. Not like on the bed, but like to the side of it. Your father's bandages that were wrapped around his neck and had, been blood-soaked are now completely unraveled from around his neck. And you see the wound that was sliced open in his throat. You never really got to see the actual wound like Alden and Azricus did. But you knew that obviously something had happened to his throat. You now see... Give me a medicine check, all three of you.
$15.
I think. Hold on, let
12.
me double check. Man, I need to just save my full character sheet because I can't see this shit. 11.
Okay. Elizabeth, you see this first. Azricus and Alden, you come up probably a minute or two later after Elizabeth sees it. This looks fresh now. This doesn't look like a wound that it was being tended to. This doesn't look like, maybe the maid undid his bandages and it like busted open or something like that. This looks like it was reopened. Blood now gushes to either side of the bandage. Your father lays there, eyes wide open, a look of fear across his face. Dead.
What happened? I don't understand. He was fine.
I just came in here to readdress his wounds like the doctor told me, and this is what I saw. You see that the bandages are also cut by what appears to be a knife.
Is it in the same direction of the slash on his throat?
No.
Down where you would cut bandages.
Yeah, it looks down like it, as if someone was trying to kind of tend to his wound. But his throat is fully cut. All three of you also give me an Arcana check.
So I have advantage on certain types of Arcana checks. I don't think this is going to necessarily be about that because it's specifically to recall information about Fey Fiends or undead. It's nothing like that, is it?
No, you're not recalling anything. I don't think.
I got a 5.
Okay.
Good try.
Yeah.
Natural 2 plus 1 for a 3.
Big.
I rolled a 3.
You guys know a whole lot. What about you, Alden?
Come on, Alden.
22.
Wow. Okay,
God.
Alden, you only know that this slice feels magical in nature. On a 23, I would also say that you notice you like smell kind of in the air necrosis and what smells like something necrotic near you. That's not to say that like you having dealt with wounds before in your life, you've also dealt with, people having wounds that are infected, for example. You know the difference between someone who just like didn't tend to their wound properly and it got infected versus this has like a magical tinge to it. It's like a sickly kind of sweet smell kind of fills your nose.
I think I would look around the room to see if I immediately see anything that stands out to me that might have been like left behind or like anything like that. I probably don't because I just rolled a 6 on the die and I think my investigation's a 0. Yeah. So 6. I'm just looking around to see like, is there anything here that would have caused this?
On a 6, I'll say that, I mean, you're not really aware of the room in general, right? Like, this is the first time you've ever entered Christoph ThornWyck's chambers. And so you don't really see anything out of place that, like, screams at you that something happened.
Are there any windows in the room?
There is one, yes, but it's a moderately small window. I would say that, it's big enough for either Elizabeth or the female servant that's in the room to have crawled through, potentially, but, like, men of your size couldn't, for example.
Yeah. Is it open or closed?
It is currently closed.
Okay.
Does it latch from the inside?
Yes.
Oh.
And looking around the room, trying to figure out what exactly is going on. Because obviously I don't understand. Can I make like a perception check or like an investigation to see if there's anything else out of place? Because I've definitely been in here. I've probably gotten in trouble a couple of times and Father sat me down next to the bookcase or something, been like, hey, listen here.
Yeah,
make a corner.
Yeah.
Make an investigation check, sure.
Oh, I got 11.
11. Okay. I'll say that you notice a few things are out of place, but there's nothing that really points to a crime necessarily, or like, as you kind of like you look at the servant's hands, you see that she has like a pair of like what are kind of crude scissors that she used to open up the wound. And I'll even say on an 11 investigation, actually, on an 11 investigation, you notice that she has the scissors. The scissors have blood on them, but the wound doesn't really look like it was made by scissors.
Mm-hmm.
Azricus, feel free to throw me investigation with disadvantage because you don't know the room.
Perfect. That's going to be a -1 to whatever
Nice.
I roll.
I got a +0, so.
Not bad. Let's see. Oh, awful. 7.
7. With a 7, you also don't really see anything out of place necessarily. There's nothing that screams to you like, oh, this is what caused this. I'll say, though, that the servant speaks up and says, his throat was already cut when I opened the bandages. It's like the wound reopened or something, but I don't understand how that could have happened. I saw your friend, and she points to Alden now. I saw your friend heal him. His wounds were fine when I redressed them earlier. It looked like he was going to make a full recovery.
I think Elizabeth would like take the scissors out of her hand, set it on a nearby table, and be like holding her back. And she's already cried her tears. She knew that there was a slim chance. She had hoped that the magic that Alden cast had saved him, but ultimately knew that something bad in the forest happened and that it was a possibility that he wasn't going to be okay. So she's cried her tears already. She takes the maid and leads her out of the room and says, "Go get the doctor and make sure there's nothing else we can do."
you see her rush out of the room now. And now you just find yourself, Alden, a knight of the burning chalice, Jesus. And I keep wanting to say cup, or for some reason, if I think of chalice, I think of bloody chalice, and I don't know why. And then so burning cup and then bloody chalice are in my mind, and it'll just never, ever get away from me. You find yourself in the room with a half-orc who you haven't ever been introduced to, and you're aware that Alden is a part of the Knights of the Burning Chalice, and the dead body of your father.
I think I would walk up to my father and grab his hand and just like sit on his bed, pet his hand, and just kind of sit there silently. Tears are flowing, but there's no emotion on her face. And we've done all we can. If there's anything else, do it now. And she's talking to Alden. Because she saw him heal him, so...
Would I know there's nothing else I can do?
Give me a medicine check. You can even do it at advantage, because he looks pretty dead.
He's so dead.
Yeah, I rolled a 19, so...
Yeah, he is about as dead as any of your fallen comrades on the field. You do know, I'll say with the 19 medicine check, plus like you have whatever modifier on it.
Yeah.
I'll say that you know that he was going to be fine. You knew that with the healing that you gave him, he would have been stable. And while it may have taken him a while to still recover because he lost a lot of blood, what you did was about the only thing that could save him outside of like a paladin lay on hands or something like that. Or, you know, like some very high-end cleric being able to use like Revivify or something of that nature. What you did was not only valiant, but also it was something that there was not another soul in the entire town that could have healed him in the way that you did. And you know he was going to be fine. And now the smell of necrosis with a magical tinge continues to creep up your nose.
I'm like kind of hobbled over, supporting myself on what I imagine to be his like bed frame. Eyes kind of half open, half closed. Just there is something dark beyond our understanding that is looming over us. He should be living. Tonight was not his night. And I look over at Elizabeth and I ask, was he a man of faith?
It might have been privately. Both my parents were superstitious, but not necessarily religious.
Would it offend if I gave him his rights? Of our rights?
Please.
I like kind of hoist myself up on the bed frame, getting like standing up, like fully standing up.
Azricus kind of like stands up like a little uncomfortable and just kind of steps out. Like he's been very hurt, furrowed brow, like just confused looking at everything. Hears about all this, and he's like, I'll go, I'll be outside. And he just like steps right out of the room and just kind of waits there awkwardly.
Elizabeth would give you a nod and thank you for your time, anyways.
And then I say I'm like looking at his corpse, and when the light fades and the chalice cools, we'll raise our hands as sacred fools, for faith remains where fire's gone. In embers whispered, we carry on, and I close his eyes shut.
I'll say that his body looks peaceful with his eyes closed. As he closes his eyes, his mouth is still open in terror, but the rest of his body seems to be peaceful. He still had a terrified look on his face when you guys came in. He was very obviously awake when he died. All three of you give me an insight check.
Nat 20!
Nice.
Go.
Hey, let's go. I got a 10.
Oh, I got a plus 4, so I got 24.
Nice.
I got a 3 + 4. Yeah, Azricus is outside of the room. His inside is distracted.
Azricus, you are currently just checking out a fly on the wall. You're kind of waiting for them to come out of the room, right? You're kind of admiring the building around you and the architecture. It's been a minute since you've been in a keep of this kind of sort. This is all very new.
Been in a keep.
Yeah, right. So it's all very new to you. You're kind of interested in just that, how these people must live, compared to how you were brought up, for example. Elizabeth, on a 24, you notice something off. Where is your mother?
That's what I've been thinking this whole fucking time. I didn't realize it until I already said I was sit down. I was like, where the fuck is my mom?
Yeah, there was a scream. Literal strangers came before her. You know she's in the castle, or the keep. Alden, on a 10, Elizabeth, you also notice all of this, but I'll just kind of encompass with both of you. On a 10, Alden, you notice that tonight should be a full moon. It should be outside the window. It is nighttime. It should be relatively bright outside on a full moon. And, there are times where clouds may pass over the full moon and it kind of darkens it. But overall, you can tell this should have been a pretty cloudless night. There was no storms that you could kind of see, or, nobody was really predicting storms to come tonight or anything like that. You should be able to see pretty well outside, and it feels pitch black outside. You don't even see the stars through the window. You're not necessarily super familiar with the area, so it could be the forest is kind of blocking some of the light in your mind. You are high up in the tower, though. You're the third story at this point. So it feels like the forest shouldn't be blocking up that much of the light. Elizabeth, you notice this too. And as this happens, and you guys kind of come to this realization, where is my mother? And wow, it's really dark outside. You hear what sounds like whispering coming from within the walls. Azricus, you do not hear this. You have no idea what's going on. Elizabeth, on a 24, you would know the general direction they're coming from.
It's in the walls. So, do I feel like it's in a specific, on a specific wall? Or just in the walls generally?
So you feel like it's... Okay, I'll say this. Alden, you feel like it's coming directly from within the walls. It feels like a disembodied, phantom is talking almost. And it almost feels like it's echoing kind of around you, and it's coming from this wall or this wall, and then, maybe it's coming through a vent in another room. Elizabeth, you being very familiar with the castle, and understanding a little bit more of its architecture and understanding, how sound kind of travels through it, you understand that it's coming from your mother's study.
I would... Because I've realized my mom's not here. I'll say that it was probably grief Didn't even think about it. I realized this, and I realized that there's some weird whispering coming from her study, and I would be... Excuse me, I must see what this whispering is in my mother's study. And I run out the door and go where her study is, which I imagine is pretty close.
It's actually on another level of the castle. Azricus and Alden, when she runs out of the door, do you follow?
Yeah, I mean, Azricus is outside, so she like runs out of the door. It is like Azricus is immediately just right there, like sitting down, writing on parchment, just like looks up. Is everything all right?
Not quite sure.
Zoom. Help.
She knows she's got a long way to go. She is zooming. Yeah. You can come if you like.
Yeah, Azricus kind of waits for Alden to like walk by and get his.
Alden like hobbles out of the room.
Yeah, I'm like leaned up against the door frame. I'll catch up.
Need a hand?
He's like, I can't even walk.
I must make sure that the Abbey knows what happened here. Somebody has to get word out.
Have you sent word with one of your brothers or not?
I have, but I don't know if he was one who was pulled. I don't know if he lives. I don't know who of us lives. And I kind of edge back towards... I don't really know exactly where I'm at, because I was unconsciously brought up here. So
You're literally lost in a castle.
I think he would just... Yeah, I think I would kind of realize that in the moment. I would like look down the doorway, like look down the hallway, look down the other way, and go, well, I don't really think I have much of a choice. Can you help me?
Of course. And I'll kind of offer you the shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll take it for sure.
I think
soldier carry.
If I can hear them following me, I'd be like, it's coming from my mother's study. Zoop.
I know not where that is.
The best part is, you have no idea where you, like, because you were unconscious when you were brought in here. Azricus has never been in a keep before. This is a maze to Az. He's just like, he has no idea what the fuck he is. He's just following.
I imagine there's servants around.
So, like, as Elizabeth gets to the top of the staircase, there is a servant there that she dispatches to kind of help you guys follow. Elizabeth, you get to the door that is now locked. You can hear the whispering faint coming from inside. What seems like dim candlelight coming from under the door. And with that, we're going to take a break really quickly before we come back and we'll finish this up.
Intermission.
Okay, welcome back. We now are at the door of Allison ThornWyck, the matriarch of the ThornWyck clan, a woman who, Elizabeth, as you know, is quite stern, has always kind of been the stern guiding hand throughout your life. Your father was very much the softer parent of the two. And you sit there outside of the locked door. You can hear both Az and Alden coming down the hallway now, being escorted by a servant, kind of leading them down towards you. You hear you see the locked door. You kind of, try to push it and twist the handle and feel that it's locked. What do you do?
Sorry. I jiggle it. I debate kicking it down because I'm so angry that my father just died. I just decided at this session 0, she was definitely a daddy's girl. A little spoiled by her father because they're noble and things like that. So mom's not like on the best of terms most of the time. Jiggling it. Mother? Mother, let me in.
You continue to hear the sound of faint whispers in the room that sound almost spectral and ghostly in nature. You hear what sounds like even multiple voices coming from within there, not just your mother's. But no response.
Can I get a vibe check on the voices?
Yeah, roll perception. Or insight. You can do either.
Okay, let's see. I rolled 14. Let's see. Insight. Okay, yeah, I'm rolling insight. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, you can do perception or insight.
Yes, insight. That's 18 total.
Okay, on an 18 insight, I would say that these don't sound like voices you've heard before. You can't really make them out either. In terms of like exactly what they're saying, it does sound like hushed whispers. You do hear your mother's voice in there, though, what sounds like a hushed whisper. But you can't make out the language that she's speaking or that the other people in the room might be speaking.
I would jiggle one more time. Mother, let me in. If she doesn't answer, I will attempt to bust out.
As you say, Mother, let me in, the whispers grow slightly louder. You can make out words, but they don't sound like a language that you know. And Alden and Azricus, Alden hobbling, Azricus helping Alden hobble, now approach the door as well. As Elizabeth is preparing, I'm guessing that she probably like kind of pulls up her skirt a little bit, and is like getting ready to like athletics check kick down this door.
She's like 5 feet from the door, gonna make a running start.
Shoulder bash it.
Yeah. She thinks she's tough.
Give me an athletics check.
Okay.
Alden and Azric, you also now hear what sounds like multiple voices coming from within.
Can I roll perception to see if I can
13.
hear?
Yeah, sure.
I have advantage on this because of my keen hearing. Fuck me.
I got lucky number 13.
Fuck me. Bad.
13, okay. What'd you roll, Azricus?
13.
13, okay.
I hear her hitting the door.
Well, so you do hear what sounds like whispers coming from within there. It sounds similar to what you guys kind of heard, or to what Alden heard downstairs, at least. I guess you didn't actually hear it. You do hear what sounds like whispers. You don't really... What languages do you know, actually? Let me check that.
And I rolled a 15.
Abyssal. I speak Abyssal, Common Sign Language, and Orc.
You said you rolled a 15, Alden?
Yeah.
Hey, we both speak Abyssal. Hell yeah.
I had to learn one of the languages of evil.
You guys could talk in sign language, and then you can relay the message to me in Abyssal, and then I'm sure we share a language besides the common. Or I could just be like, hey man.
What?
Hey frog dude.
What?
They're saying this.
Oh, okay.
Keep it on the DL. I
will.
Thank goodness.
Do any of you three speak Infernal?
No.
Hold on. I can't find where my languages are at on this.
I see that you speak Common Sign Language, and Elvish, Alden.
Oh, it didn't add Draconic in there. Interesting. I should have Elvish and Draconic, but that's weird. Because I know I took Draconic, but I think Elvish was an addition with Acolyte. I don't know. I never used D&D Beyond. It gave me like 800 errors trying to make a character.
I added Draconic for you.
Okay.
So you hear a language that you don't understand coming from within the room. Hushed whispers and tones. It sounds almost spectral in nature. As BAM! You see Elizabeth slam into the door not budging under her strength.
She falls on her ass. Then.
Do you need the door removed?
Yes. Remove it.
I'll kind of like let Alden off. Like, he's very gentle when he does it. Like, he's trying to be tender.
I'm going to. Do I get the gist that you've never been in a castle before?
Possibly. He's looking around at everything kind of in like an air of wonder.
Okay, I'll do then. Can I roll a perception to see if I would know that the door is probably reinforced?
Yeah, you can do perception for that.
I rolled an 18 on the die.
You would know that the door is more than likely reinforced on an 18.
I'm like leaned up against the wall, like with my hand out, trying to tap your shoulder and be like, "These castles are meant for sieges, friend. I don't know if we'll get through this door."
Can't hurt to try. So with my impressive +2 athletics, I will try and kick down this door.
Send it.
Better than a -1, so.
Can I give him bless?
Yeah, you can if you want.
Yeah, I'll use the spell slot and give him bless.
That's a D4 on top, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
There it is. I got 3, so that's 18 total.
Nice. You kick the door in. You don't necessarily kick it off of its hinges. How do you remove the door, I suppose? I would say that, like, you can open the door, but you can't remove it from its hinges.
Yeah, no. He's not trying to, like, kick it down. He's literally, like, he's probably aiming towards where, like, maybe, like, by where, like, the latch would be, or where he would imagine the latch would be. I mean, he has at least seen the inside of a couple of rooms in this castle, so I've probably seen, like, the type of locks they have on these doors. So
Yep.
he's aiming for, like, that point to just kind of, like, bend or break the metal, like, right there, so it'll give in a bit.
Are you, like, kicking it? Or are you, like, putting your weight
Yeah.
on it? Or, like, shouldering it? Okay, you're, like, Spartan kicking it down.
He has at least had some fundamental training. He's going to do, like, the backwards kick where he, like, kind of, like, puts his back against the door and then just fucking, like, donkey kicks the shit out of it.
Okay. So you donkey kick the door in. It breaks the kind of like a smaller kind of metal deadbolt almost that's in the door. The door swings open. It's a pretty large wooden door. The wood is made of like fine fashion, as is the kind of like door frame itself that you've now essentially snapped along with the metal to the door. The room is a large room. It has an even larger ceiling than the hallway that you're currently stood in. There's a massive window inside of the room as well that you look out and see once again. It is pitch black outside. You're on the 4th level now. This is not the forest causing the stars and the moon to not come into the windows. This is more of like a it's the kind of window that I'm thinking of. It's like at the top, it's more like kind of a circular oval shape that kind of goes down and it kind of juts out from the side of the castle as well. And inside, you see shelves upon shelves lining the wall of books with a kind of smaller mahogany desk in the corner of the room. And dim candlelight lighting around a singular small frame in the room, on her knees in the middle of the room. The candles appear to be in somewhat of like a circular shape around her, and you see her on her knees over something, as I'm assuming Azricus, you probably step forward after you donkey kick. And Elizabeth, I'm kind of assume that you walk in first as soon as the door is open.
I think seeing my mother on her knees with candles around her, she would run. Like, her father just died. Like, this is a weird situation. She was angry that her father wouldn't even let her go there. She is angry that her mother made her quit the tavern. She runs in there. I would shake my mother.
Okay.
Mother! Father is dead. What are you doing?
She looks up at you with a look in her eyes that you've never seen before. Your mother has never been the warmest person to you. You were, for example, you had a nursemaid as a baby. Your mother didn't breastfeed you or anything. She was never warm to you. Her eyes have a coldness to them now, though, that you have never experienced. She, to you, always felt like, a stern mom who, while sure, she kept you from doing the things that you wanted to and the things that made sense to you, there was always at least an excuse that you made in your mind that she cared about you still, right? She was just a strict parent. She has a look in her eyes now that is not only the cold look that you know, but has a darkness twisted inside of it. Give me, all three of you, a perception check, because Alden and Azricus, I'm assuming that you are now walking into the room too.
I would also say the air that Elizabeth has is that all this stuff is happening and you guys were hired, but she doesn't, blame you for her father's death. She understands there's extenuating circumstances, and now all this weird stuff is happening in her house. She is glad that you guys are there with her, and that she's not alone going through all of this. Or at least that's what you can tell.
Is this purely a sight-based perception?
All of your perceptions, so sight, smell, hearing, etc.
Okay, because I have advantage specifically on hearing and scent-based perception.
Okay, yeah, roll advantage then.
I got a 21, natural 19.
Okay.
Can I roll religion? I am looking at this and thinking religion. Can I?
Yeah.
Is that something? Okay.
For sure.
I got a dirty 20.
Okay.
Hell yeah, we all rolled high.
So I will just explain to you the scene, Azricus and Alden, that you kind of walk into. Elizabeth, as you kind of immediately rushed in, grabbed your mom, you didn't really pay attention to the surrounding area, but you now, as you kind of are taken aback by this look in her eyes, and you kind of are now starting to perceive the world around you. I'll kind of describe what it is, and then Alden, I'll give you a bit more information because it's religion. You notice that the candles surrounding her aren't just sat there. They are specifically part of a much larger pictogram, a sigil that she now sits within. There is a bowl, a silver chalice bowl, that sits at the edge of her knees. Azricus, you smell herb in the air, along with other ingredients that aren't incense, right? You would maybe expect to smell incense in this kind of an area. You've smelled incense in this noble house already. You've smelled them before in taverns and other places, the marketplace, for example. You don't smell that here. This smells of rot and necrotic and undeath. The candles burning give off no scent. They are within small inner circles of what looks like, you see 5 candles that surround her with what looks like a pentagram drawn with other smaller sigils within it. Alden, you specifically understand this to be ritual in nature. You understand this to be you don't know exactly what entity this is for, just off of the initial look. You have seen this before, though, you feel like, at least. And you definitely know that this is darker in nature. Obviously, you kind of immediately, as you walk in the room, it feels a couple degrees colder. You feel like there is a number of spirits that are on the other side of the veil within this room. just beyond the thin veil that separates you from life and death, you feel that there are more than just one person here. Although all you can see is her on the ground and then Elizabeth shaking her. Elizabeth, you notice all of this, but you also notice, being as close to her as you are, there is a small, what looks like ritualistic kriss in her hand. It's a small kind of curved dagger that she has in her left hand as she's looking up at you. A small smile crawls across her face. And you see her place her right palm on the blade of it as she slides the blade up her palm and out, blood beginning to drip from her hand into the bowl. The smile growing larger and larger as she says, "You always belong to him. Now go to him." The candles in the room flare up. The fire grows a little bit brighter. You can feel the veil thinning, but specifically you, Alden, you feel the veil thinning between you and death. And mist comes rushing into the room through the window, surrounding all three of you. As you feel yourselves ripped from this reality and brought into what you can only feel is a different realm.
Damn.
As you awake to the sounds of cicada, they're not, so for example, crickets were what you were kind of hearing outside before at Briarholt. You now hear the sound of cicada. It's no longer dark outside. It's not nighttime, for example. The sun above you is being cast through overcast cloudiness. Even though it feels like it might be midday, you are all probably quite tired by this point. Very disoriented. You have no idea where you are or why it's daytime suddenly. You know that you didn't go to sleep. And as you look behind you, there is a wall, a shroud of mist that feels foreboding in a way. Elizabeth, the tattoo that you have on you, you have quite a storied history with this tattoo. You have at least somewhat of an understanding of what it is. You feel a burning coming from this tattoo now, and as you look at it, it looks clearer than it's ever looked on you. It started out with you as a child, where it wasn't very clear. It was kind of almost like a smudge. It looked like, when we're kids and we, use a pen on our hand or on our skin or something and smudge it, right? As you grew older, it sort of came into more and more. That is now not only burning on you, but you feel the presence associated with that more than you've ever felt it before. You hear something speak into your mind. "My dear, I have a gift for you. Your father's soul now rests in this land, but you can still save it. Do you accept?"
Yes.
With the affirmation of that gift, you feel a dark and spectral power manifesting within the tattoo itself. Before you can describe how your blade manifests in your hands for the first time.
All right, 1 second. I've got pictures associated with this to make it even more awesome. This dark, creepy smoke starts to come out of it. And it runs down her arm until it gets all the way down to her hand, and she grasps the hilt of a sword.
As the hilt kind of evaporates from the smoke, you see the rest of the smoke that kind of came down her arm retract back into the tattoo now fully formed. Alden and Azricus, What are you doing now in this strange new land that you find yourselves in? All three of you are together, by the way. And then yeah, we'll rejoin you probably next session with Caelvo.
You're muted.
I cast light on a stone and throw it into the mist.
It gets about 5 feet before you no longer see it, even the light from it.
We're not going that way.
I think
You
that's,
see what appears to be a large, lingering shadow in the mist that is larger than a human or like, any kind of known race from Faerun, maybe as large as a Goliath, but it doesn't hold the same form that a Goliath does. It seems to be probably, to your perceptions, just your passive perceptions, it looks like it's 200 feet away from you in the mist and just watching ever so slightly, but it's far enough away that you can't really make it out. You can only kind of see its like outline in the mist. Elizabeth, you specifically have a pretty decent idea of what that outline is.
Azricus kind of like, when they first immediately arrive, probably slightly disoriented, like stands up, like immediately just starts like looking around in every direction just to get his bearings. Sees Elizabeth summon a fucking sword out of shadows, and just immediately the brows come down like, what the fuck is that? And like, you actually see him just kind of like sniff in your direction, like he's trying to sniff something out. Like he's like, he smells Barovia.
Yeah, there's definitely a million new smells that you're smelling. Alden, what have you?
What time is it?
It feels like midday. You like when you look up in the sky, you can see the position of the sun, but you like can't, like the sun isn't really giving that much light. It's like a extremely overcast day. The mist blocks most of the light that comes through, but you can still, when you like look through a cloud and you can kind of like see that the sun is there, right? You can tell where the sun is, so it feels like midday.
Panicking that he may have missed his prayer, he immediately faces east and begins his prayer.
Awesome. Shifting now away from this group, Caelvo, you start making your way towards to the sound that you're hearing, at least. And before we leave for the day, I will impart with this. You being a creature that has always had an innate connection to nature and magic in general, you understand the magics of land. You understand how a land typically feels, that is uncontrolled chaos, and you tap into that chaos slightly, right? You by no means master it. You don't even necessarily, based on your backstory, you don't even really want to master it. You want to do your best to exist within it and use it to help others. The land that you now stand on does not feel like Kelpwood. It doesn't feel like any land you've ever heard of. It doesn't feel that like uncontrolled, untapped magical chaos. This land very much feels like it has a master that it bends its will to. Every step that you take, every small creature that you see feels not like the chaotic nature that you're used to, which, even Faerunians are used to. It feels like its will is bent. The very shadows don't even feel like they are in the control of the light. Shadows themselves feel like they are under the control of something else. And with that, is it Thursday yet? No, is it? We will be reconvening next week.
No, already?
Hell yeah.
Oh no, that was
Oh,
fucking
man.
awesome.
Hell yeah, dude. What a start. What a start.
How was your game, Toms?
It was good. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Like and subscribe.
like and subscribe.